There is a power within you so vast, so magnificent, that if you truly understood it, you would never doubt yourself again. This power has built civilizations, transformed wilderness into gardens, and birthed technologies that have revolutionized human existence. It is the same power that caused Alexander Graham Bell to hear what others deemed impossible. It's the same force that propelled Madame C.J. Walker from washerwoman to America's first female self-made millionaire. And it's the same energy that flows through you right now, in this very moment. I am going to reveal to you the exact methods I've discovered through decades of studying the laws of prosperity. These aren't mere theories, but proven principles that have transformed countless lives. What I'm about to share with you is the fundamental truth that what you can first see in your mind, you will ultimately hold in your hand. Look around you. Everything you see, the skyscrapers that pierce the clouds, the vehicle that transported you today, the device connecting you to global knowledge, all began as a single thought in someone's mind before manifesting into physical reality. Nothing exists in our human world that wasn't first conceived in imagination. Nothing. I have devoted my life to understanding this creative process, and I can assure you that it operates with mathematical precision. You are standing at the precipice of the greatest opportunity of your life. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. What I've illuminated through my work remains eternally true. What you outpicture, you experience. When you can see it in your mind with perfect clarity, you will hold it in your hand with perfect certainty. This isn't mysticism. This is the precise science of manifestation that the greatest achievers throughout history have harnessed. Your mind is the most sophisticated, creative mechanism in the known universe. It doesn't distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is experienced. I've taught thousands that when you imprint an image with emotion, with conviction, with unwavering belief, your subconscious mind accepts it as instruction and begins reorganizing your perceptions, your decisions, and your actions to align with that mental blueprint. The Bible tells us faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. These words weren't written as poetic inspiration, but as a practical manual for living. Your thoughts are not passive whispers. They are active, creative forces generating electromagnetic frequencies that reshape the fabric of your reality. Modern scientists have now confirmed what I've taught for decades. Thought precedes form. Consciousness creates reality. But here's what separates those who dream from those who achieve: clarity. Vague wishes produce vague results. When your vision is blurry, your outcomes will be blurry. The universe cannot deliver what you cannot define. This is why most people live lives of quiet desperation. They have never taken the time to crystallize exactly what they want with razor-sharp precision. Let me guide you through a practical exercise in this manifestation process. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you see what you truly desire? Can you see it in vivid detail? Can you feel the weight of it in your hands? Can you smell it, taste it, hear the sounds that surround it? If not, you have discovered why it hasn't manifested. I've always taught that the mind requires sensory detail to believe. Belief is the catalyst that transforms the invisible into the visible. I've studied how Steve Jobs understood this principle when he visualized computers that ordinary people could use decades before they became ubiquitous. He wasn't dreaming idle fantasies. He was engaging the operating system of achievement that I've written about extensively. You will never outperform your self-image. Never. Your life will always organize itself to reflect back to you exactly what you believe to be true about yourself and what's possible for you. Your current conditions are not your true reality. They are merely the physical manifestation of your past thinking. They are the shadow, not the substance. The substance is your thought. By rebuilding your mental architecture, the invisible blueprint that shapes your visible circumstances, you literally reconstruct the foundation of your life experience. When you understand this truth, you realize that changing your life doesn't begin with changing your actions. It begins with changing your conception. This is the divine sequence that I've taught throughout my career. Conception, followed by conviction, followed by concentration, followed by concrete results. The pattern never varies. Look at Eleanor Roosevelt. Before she became one of history's most influential first ladies, she was painfully shy and insecure. But in her mind, she saw herself as a voice for the voiceless. That mental image sustained her through years of personal challenge until the external world reshaped itself to match her internal vision. Today, her legacy of humanitarian work and advocacy continues to inspire millions. I've shared her story countless times as evidence of these principles in action. This brings us to the power of active visualization, not as a passive exercise, but as active creation. When you close your eyes and mentally rehearse your desired outcome with the full engagement of your senses and emotions, you are literally programming your nervous system to recognize and seize opportunities invisible to others. You are tuning the frequency of your awareness to detect possibilities that align with your vision. Tonight, before sleep, when your conscious mind is relaxed and your subconscious is most receptive, spend 15 minutes in vivid mental rehearsal of your most important goal as if it were already achieved. See the details, feel the emotions, hear the congratulations, taste the victory. This isn't fantasy. It's the conscious programming of your creative mechanism that I've documented throughout my work. The brilliant inventor Buckminster Fuller said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." I've always taught that your thoughts build these new models. The images you hold in your mind emit vibrations that attract corresponding circumstances. Like attracts like. Energy attracts energy of similar frequency. This isn't philosophy. It's quantum physics, confirming what my prosperity teachings have demonstrated for decades. Information without application leads to frustration. You must become a conscious architect of your mental landscape. I've always instructed my students that every morning before your feet touch the floor, you must mentally rehearse the day as you intend it to unfold. Every night before sleep claims you, you must impress upon your subconscious the images of what you're creating. For the next 21 days, maintain a strict mental diet. Just as you would carefully monitor what you put into your physical body for optimal health, vigilantly monitor what images you allow into your mental body. Eliminate all visualization of failure, lack, and limitation. Replace these with consistent images of success, abundance, and possibility. I've seen this mental discipline literally rewire neural pathways toward manifestation. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's physically experienced. This is why Olympic athletes use mental rehearsal to improve performance. Their nervous systems can't distinguish between a perfectly visualized routine and one physically executed. The same principle applies to your dreams, your goals, your deepest desires. When imagined with vivid intensity, your brain begins creating neural pathways to support their manifestation. The remarkable George Washington Carver, born into slavery, rose to become one of history's greatest agricultural scientists by seeing possibility where others saw only peanuts and sweet potatoes. He once said he simply asked the plants what they could become, and they revealed hundreds of transformative uses to him. I've always emphasized that what amplified his vision wasn't just mental clarity, but profound emotional connection to his purpose. Your visions must similarly be charged with authentic emotion to bridge the gap between concept and reality. Identify the core emotion you would feel upon achieving your greatest desire, whether that's freedom, security, joy, fulfillment, or contribution. Now practice generating that exact emotional state in your body right now, independent of circumstances. This emotional discipline literally magnetizes your vision, accelerating its manifestation through what I call the law of resonance. You too possess this same visionary potential. Your ability to see with the mind's eye is your most underutilized asset. When you focus your mental vision on what you desire rather than what you fear, you activate hidden resources within yourself and invisible forces in the universe. This isn't supernatural. It's how nature operates. I've often noted that the seed visualizes the full-grown tree long before it breaks soil. Your dreams are the seeds of your future achievements. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, wondering why their situation never substantially improves. They're living from the outside in when the universe works from the inside out. I've written extensively that the thoughts and images you permit yourself to dwell upon in the quiet of your mind are seeds that will bear fruit in your material world. Your material world doesn't create your mental world. Your mental world creates your material world. When faced with any challenging circumstance, pause before reacting. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and mentally shift from problem consciousness to solution consciousness. See the ideal outcome with perfect clarity. This isn't denial of reality, but the conscious choice to respond from creative vision rather than reactive programming. I've seen this technique transform seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Consider Madame C.J. born to former slaves, orphaned at 7, married at 14, and widowed by 20. By conventional standards, her prospects were grim, but within her mind, she refused to accept limitation. She saw herself as prosperous, influential, capable. Her hair care products for Black women grew from her vision of possibility, not her circumstance of limitation. Before her death in 1919, she had become America's first female self-made millionaire. Proof that your vision, when held with unwavering certainty, will materialize despite all contradictory evidence. The Bible tells us that Moses led his people through the wilderness for 40 years to reach the Promised Land. But the true story runs deeper. As I've interpreted in my work, that physical journey reflected an inner transformation, from the consciousness of slavery to the consciousness of freedom. Your journey toward your desires follows the same pattern. The outer path appears only as your inner landscape shifts from bondage to possibility. The promised land of your desires awaits not at the end of a physical road, but at the end of a mental transformation. Identify one limiting belief that has held you back, perhaps about your capabilities, your worthiness, or what's possible for someone of your background. Now craft a new, empowering belief that directly contradicts this limitation. For the next 30 days, consciously affirm this new belief morning, noon, and night, feeling its truth in your body. This isn't self-deception, but the deliberate reprogramming of your mental operating system. I've seen this practice transform lives beyond recognition. What are you picturing right now? Are your mental images dominated by worry, lack, and limitation? Or are they filled with abundance, achievement, and joy? This isn't a trivial question. It's the most important assessment you can make, because right now, in this moment, you are using the most powerful creative force in the universe, your focused imagination, to lay the foundation for tomorrow's experiences. As the prophet Joel declared, "Your young men shall see visions." These visions aren't idle fantasies, but blueprints for manifestation. Steve Jobs didn't just create revolutionary products, he created them twice. First in his imagination, with such clarity and conviction that their physical manifestation became inevitable. He called this reality distortion field, the ability to envision something so completely that the universe bends to accommodate its creation. This isn't magical thinking, it's mental mastery that I've documented throughout my prosperity teachings. The same power that allowed Jobs to see the iPhone years before technology could support it lies dormant within you, waiting to be activated. Select your most ambitious goal and create 2 parallel timelines. On the first, map out the logical, sequential steps from your current position to achievement. On the second, describe the completed achievement in present tense, as if you were already experiencing it. Review both daily, the first to organize your actions, the second to program your subconscious. This dual approach harmonizes practical planning with the manifestation principles I've taught for decades. Your current financial situation, your relationships, your health, your career achievements, all are precise reflections of your predominant mental images up to this point. If they don't satisfy you, don't waste energy fighting against what is. Instead, redirect that precious energy toward vividly imagining what could be. As I've always taught, what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This isn't motivational rhetoric, but a literal description of how manifestation works. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who don't isn't intelligence, resources, connections, or luck. It's the ability to hold a vision with unshakable faith despite all contrary evidence. When Colonel Sanders was 65, broke, and living on Social Security, he saw himself as successful. He held that mental image through 1,009 rejections before someone said yes to his chicken recipe. Today, KFC serves in 145 countries. The vision came first. The manifestation followed. When doubt arises, as it inevitably will, don't fight it directly. Instead, immediately redirect your mental energy to vividly recalling past achievements where you overcame similar doubts. This builds a neural pathway of certainty that becomes increasingly automatic with practice. Remember, doubt and faith cannot coexist in the same mental space. The one you feed becomes dominant. I've seen this simple practice transform chronic doubters into confident achievers. Imagine yourself 5 years from now having achieved everything you're currently working toward. See yourself in vivid detail: how you look, how you feel, where you live, what you do each day, who surrounds you, what you've accomplished. Don't rush this vision. Saturate it with sensory detail. This isn't daydreaming. This is using your imagination as it was divinely intended, as the creative launching pad for manifestation. What you consistently picture with emotional intensity becomes your living reality. The philosopher Neville Goddard taught that imagining creates reality. He didn't mean this figuratively, but literally. When you enter the state of your desire fulfilled, feeling the emotions, sensing the details, experiencing it as present reality, you're not predicting the future, you're creating it. The inventor Nikola Tesla said he never built anything until he had fully operated it in his mind. His mental laboratory was his primary workspace. Physical construction was merely the final step. Revise all your goal statements from future tense to present tense. Instead of, I will achieve financial freedom, affirm, I am financially free. Instead of, I will heal my relationship, declare, my relationship is healed and harmonious. This isn't self-deception, but the alignment of your consciousness with the reality you intend to experience. The present tense sends clear instructions to your subconscious that this is not hope, but current fact. I've seen this simple linguistic shift dramatically accelerate manifestation. Most people use their imagination accidentally, haphazardly, often focusing on what they don't want rather than what they do. The universe doesn't distinguish between wanted and unwanted. It simply manifests what's most consistently and emotionally visualized. I often use this analogy. The farmer who spends all day worrying about drought is using the same creative power as the farmer who visualizes abundant rainfall. One creates scarcity, the other creates abundance. The mechanism is identical, only the focus differs. Clarity is power. The universe cannot deliver what you cannot define. This isn't because the universe is withholding, it's because manifestation requires precision. When Marie Curie sought to isolate radium, she had to sift through tons of pitchblende to extract a single gram. Her clarity of purpose sustained her through years of painstaking work. Your clarity of vision must be equally defined, not vague notions of more money or better health, but precise images of exactly what you desire, experienced in vivid detail. I challenge you right now to take out a piece of paper and describe your most important goal with such precise detail that a complete stranger could visualize it exactly as you do. Include metrics, timelines, sensory descriptions, and emotional states. This exercise forces a level of clarity that most people never achieve, and this clarity is the essential foundation of manifestation. I've seen this simple practice dramatically accelerate achievement for thousands of students. The Wright brothers didn't just dream of flying. They meticulously visualized every component, every mechanism, every aerodynamic principle. They mentally flew their aircraft countless times before it left the ground at Kitty Hawk. This is how vision becomes reality, through concentrated mental rehearsal so detailed that physical manifestation becomes a natural extension. I've taught throughout my career that your desires follow the same pattern. See them, feel them, live them mentally. The physical expression will follow with mathematical precision. Your dominant thoughts are like magnets, drawing to you people, circumstances, opportunities, and resources that resonate with their frequency. This isn't speculative philosophy, but demonstrable physics. Energy attracts like energy. I've always emphasized that thoughts of lack attract lack. Thoughts of abundance attract abundance. Thoughts of health attract health. You're not just thinking about your life. You're magnetically drawing your life to you through the electric power of focused thought. For 1 week, carry a small notebook and record every thought about money that crosses your mind. Don't judge or censor, simply observe. At week's end, calculate what percentage of these thoughts were abundant versus scarce. This awareness alone begins shifting your magnetic frequency toward prosperity. I've seen dramatic financial transformations begin with this simple exercise in thought awareness. In my prosperity teachings, I've extended Aristotle's wisdom that we are what we repeatedly do to say that we become what we repeatedly envision. Every great leader, inventor, artist, or entrepreneur first saw their creation mentally before expressing it physically. Pablo Picasso said, "Everything you can imagine is real." He understood that imagination isn't escape from reality, but the workshop where new realities are forged. Your mental pictures are the templates for your life experience. Most people believe seeing is believing. The masters of manifestation know believing is seeing. When you truly believe in your vision, not with wishful thinking, but with unshakable knowing, you begin noticing resources, connections, and opportunities previously invisible to you. They didn't suddenly appear. They were always there. Your belief simply tuned your perception to their frequency. As Jesus taught, "According to your faith be it unto you." Faith is mental vision held with certainty. Select one area where you desire greater abundance. For the next 7 days, consciously look for evidence of abundance in this area everywhere you go. Record at least 3 examples daily. This practice literally rewires your perceptual filters to recognize opportunity where previously you saw only limitation. I've seen this simple exercise trigger remarkable breakthroughs for those who implement it faithfully. Michelangelo claimed the David was already complete within the marble block. He merely removed what was superfluous. I've always taught that your ideal life, your greatest achievements, your deepest fulfillment, all exist right now in potential form. Your job is not to create them from nothing, but to remove the mental blocks that obscure them from view. As you chisel away limiting beliefs, doubts, and fears, the masterpiece of your highest possibilities emerges naturally, as if it were waiting for you all along. The biblical story of creation tells us that God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. This pattern, speaking what is desired and seeing it manifest, isn't just divine. It's the template for all creation. When you declare what you wish to experience with the same conviction, you're employing the original creative principle. Your words aren't just descriptions, they're prescriptions. They don't just reflect reality, they create reality when spoken with the authority of absolute belief. Begin and end each day by speaking aloud 10 declarations of what you are creating, stated in present tense as if already accomplished. Speak with the full emotional force of absolute knowing. This isn't affirmation but declaration, the difference being the level of authority with which it's expressed. I've documented countless manifestations that began with this simple practice of authoritative declaration. Your thoughts are your tools, carving form from formlessness. I've always taught that this creative process never stops. You're constantly sculpting your experience through your mental activity. The question isn't whether you're creating, it's whether you're creating consciously or by default. When you take conscious command of your mental pictures, you become the intentional architect of your destiny rather than its accidental victim. History's greatest inventors understood that creation begins with vision. They saw what didn't yet exist with such clarity that its manifestation became inevitable. I've documented throughout my prosperity work that your life follows the same creative sequence, first mental, then physical. Before beginning any significant project, spend time in complete mental creation. See the finished outcome with perfect clarity. Experience the satisfaction of its completion. Feel the impact it will have. Only then begin physical implementation. I've observed that projects created twice, first mentally, then physically, manifest with fewer obstacles and greater alignment than those attempted without this preparatory visualization. Most people spend their lives in reactive mode, responding to circumstances, solving problems as they arise, struggling against conditions. The masters of manifestation operate predominantly in creative mode, establishing clear mental images of desired outcomes and allowing those images to organize their perceptions, decisions, and actions. One mode leads to survival, the other leads to transformation. When you understand that the creative principle of mental causation, that your thoughts literally generate your experience, you recognize that changing your thinking isn't positive psychology, but practical necessity. I've taught throughout my career that your thoughts aren't private mental activity, but creative force generating visible consequence. This recognition transforms visualization from occasional technique to fundamental operating system. not something you do, but something you are as a creative being. When you can see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. This isn't metaphorical, but literal. The precise description of the creative sequence that governs manifestation. When you maintain unwavering mental imagery of your desired outcome with emotional conviction and expectant faith, you activate creative forces beyond conventional comprehension that literally reshape material reality to match mental template. My greatest desire for you is not that you acquire things, achieve goals, or accomplish ambitions, though these will naturally follow from proper application of these principles. My deepest wish is that you recognize yourself as the divine creator you truly are, that you awaken to your inherent capacity to shape reality through the magnificent power of your focused consciousness. When you understand that what you can see in your mind you will hold in your hand, you're liberated from dependency on external circumstances and empowered to create deliberately rather than by default. What you consistently picture in your mind with emotional intensity and absolute belief, you will inevitably experience in your physical reality. This isn't motivational philosophy, but causal principle, as certain as gravity, as reliable as mathematics. When you truly understand this truth, not intellectually, but viscerally, you recognize that you hold in your consciousness the power to transform not just your circumstances, but your entire life experience. What you can see in your mind, you will hold in your hand. This is the divine promise and the practical reality of conscious creation.